Hello everybody and welcome back to this Field of Glory tournament Rise of Carthage army composition comparison even. Today we'll be looking at both armies of the upcoming tournament for Slytherin. Please click that like and subscribe button, go and find Slytherin again. So we're going to have a quick look at the Ferric list and the up-to-date Carthaginian list, a completely different Carthaginian list than we first had in our first round. So it's going to be interesting to see the different comparison of the later years. So we're at 280 to 263 and the Ferric list is 280 to 275. So we're going to have a look at the Ferric list. It's a good list, I've got to say. I've been sat here for the last couple of minutes looking at it thinking what can we do. So remember, ladies and gentlemen, to comment below. I've got a couple of comments on the first video we did yesterday, but remember this is all relevant to the 10th 2020. But if you're just here to look at interesting tactics of different nations, watch your way. So we're going to have a quick look at the list here. So we got elephants. Gotta say, supported elephants are fantastic. Remember, I found a little tip before: if an elephant is actually fleeing, it will still disorder your cavalry and also the enemy cavalry. So remember, even at fleeing, it still disorders, which is interesting because I didn't realise that until actually a couple of weeks ago. But an elephant supported, and as we can see in the Carthaginian list, the new Carthaginian list, it has a massive amount of ranged combat. Be careful, your elephant will get shot up, disordered, and then there's no point using it. So we're going to look at the cavalry. We do have some armoured Macedonian style lancers, which are a mainstay. They are expensive. I think the second most expensive in this list, apart from the Pike phalanx. It's brilliant. But unfortunately, we've got to be careful of the the armoured noble cavalry. All evades, and if it's not going to win, it shall run away. And unfortunately, leaving your Macedonian chargers in the middle of open or getting counter-charged by more bad stuff on his list. Then we come down to the basic veteran cavalry, which we talked about in video 1. Please check the playlist below. It's your bog standard armoured, good POA with a light spear swordsman, solid unit, good to counter and all the rest of it. We do have the option of one light javelin horse, always good there to support your cavalry charging forward, but also actually shooting up the enemy cavalry and causing some havoc. And last but not second in the middle, the pikes. 72 points, the most expensive unit in this point game. Why would not you have all these pikes? Well, you could have 6 units of pikes here, and I've got to say, I would probably, and I will more likely choose all of them. This is the reason why this is, because they're expensive, which is a downside. They are a large target if the enemy did use artillery, but they're unmaneuverable, so at later points of the game they're not particularly turning really well. There's a big block of men, protected pike, that is absolutely brilliant. And I've got to say, you've got to be careful, because if you choose pikes, you're going to be outnumbered. But you have to then rely on cavalry to do blocking action of the extra units the enemy is going to have. Of course, heavy foot, so medium terrain is going to be bad, but they are devastating. That is a lot of points there. A massive, nearly half my army just there in pikes, but well worth it. They will definitely earn their points back. So I think we'll do deployment as we go. So I particularly would like of course this game is always terrain dependent, and as you can see at the moment in time, there is very little use if this was to be the tournament round for medium foot. It would all be heavy foot and cavalry, because there'll be no reason because of the terrain. Of course, we come down to the mercenary hoplites, which are the bog standard protected offensive spearmen, heavy foot, cautious of medium terrain, rough terrain. We have then the raw pikes, which are a couple of extra less points, but unfortunately I've got mixed feelings about, of course, the raw pikes. The fact is, on a hill supported, they would pull off massive victories, but I think on the open against a more impact foot, they will drop and still be a very high proportion. They are a very expensive unit for 48 points. I'm dissuaded from using them. And then we come down to the citizen hoplites, which of course are yet again are undrilled, unmaneuverable, protected, offensive spearmen, good bog standard. Got to be careful against the warband unit of the Carthaginian list. Remember, it's a different Carthaginian list, not the first one we saw in the first round. Italian foot, of course, are just the Italian foot we've seen before in the first round with the Carthaginians. Good in rough terrain, good impact, but I don't think they're just below the Spanish. So if the Carthaginian list does have Spanish, we'll be interested. Raw hoplites hoplites. I would tend to stay away from the raw hoplites. They are good, but they will drop really quickly and take everybody else with them. And as we come to 3 units of light slingers, javelin and archers, unfortunately only 3. And if we look at the Carthaginian list quickly, they have a massive amount. So the Carthaginians there are at a massive advantage, of course, with light horse javelin and also slingers and javelin. So we're at a negative with the light fight here. So good solid list here for the Macedonian, the Ferric list. Gotta say, it's good pikes. The Carthaginians are going to be having a real bad day here with our list. But if the Carthaginian player is wise, he will stick to his rough terrain and he will stick to shooting the living bejesus out of all of the Greek player. So we're just going to put a deployment, and I think what I would do here is I would more likely just go all heavy foot. I've got to be careful if they do have any warbands here, which could finger. But like I said, we are going to be outnumbered. We are very much going to be outnumbered, and that's probably not a great combination list there. But just making sure all the, and I probably would stick the elephant commander or my CNC on the elephant just to give him that plus POA. But if we just look at the POA for the pike, so deep pike, 100 POA plus any troops if in the open, provided that the pikes are not disrupted or disordered. So it's a massive POAs there, massive. It's just really good. It's just really good against everything or most things, but being not disordered. So in this line, it's going to be hard to have a secondary. I want to reply to a comment from Dave Battlemind. Remember, this list is short. I don't have very much that I could stick behind, so you're going to have to play conservatively with your cavalry, having your cavalry just defended. If we look at the Carthaginian list in a second, which we'll do now, we'll have a look at their cavalry list and see what advantage they have. So the Ferric list doesn't have a massive amount of cavalry. It has elephants, but not that amount of cavalry it needs. So as you can see here, we'll have a lot of lights in this selection. We have 1, 2, 5, 6 units of cavalry we could select, but one is just noble cavalry, but still superior, so it's still got that quality it needs. Then you've got the veteran, which is just the armoured superior, and of course the noble cavalry with light spear. You see, these are just exactly the same, so it'll be interesting what the thought of were for the army generation. Why not just put another veteran unit? I mean, I don't. Oh, one says veteran, one says superior, but they're both superior. So that's a quiz there, if anyone knows the answer to that, because it'd be interesting to know, but they just seem mirror image units. So coming down to the noble cavalry, which is of course light spear swordsman, the light javelin, which should be there to support your cavalry in actually harassing that elephant of the Ferric list, harassing the enemy cavalry. The Carthaginian list so far looks like it will dominate the cavalry game and the light game. So you remember when you come into round 2, cavalry lights, avoid the pikes. That's a rhythmic now, I'm going to use that. Cavalry and lights, but avoid the pikes. Remember, you don't have to break the entire army, you're breaking a good proportion of it. If you can hold the line in some rough terrain, I've played a lot of Parthian lists against pike lists. The best thing you can do is to destroy everything else and then just go straight for all the medium troops. Don't go and the heavy troops. Don't go for the pike units if you can. But a smart player would keep them in combination. Okay, so we come down to the heavy artillery. As we said before in round 1, I don't see a place for it in this tournament. It's going to be a very mobile, very wall-on-wall army here. Even though they've got pikes, still tempted, still not. But we get what's going to really hurt the enemy player is, of course, the warband. We've got that glass hammer we spoke about in round 1 with the impact swordsman. Like I said, they need to get in there, smash the line of any mediums, any raw troops that your enemy may select, or a win. But we don't really have any veteran African spearmen. We've got plenty of African spearmen here, but no actually veteran units which are armoured. So disadvantaged here. We're not got the same quality of troops for the heavy foot. We've got probably a Papal will outnumber him. So lights cavalry avoid the pikes and outnumber him. So we need to actually make sure we have enough troops to either bring him into a sense of security where he thinks he can launch an attack while we can dominate the cavalry and light attack. Because looking here, we've got how many? So we've got 4, 7, 8, 9 units of heavy foot we can field here against. He is a lot. But that's no, I think we have more than him, but not the quality. So what we'd have to do, would have to go all African spearmen here. You see, if this was the field we were playing on in round 2, I would not put any cavalry on this right side because of the river. There is no crossing anywhere, so we'll deploy right up to it. This is going to be a hard list for the Carthaginians. I'm not looking forward to round 2 at all. So we're going to go mercenary hoplites. There we go. And of course we're going to have the warband, one on each flank. They're not taking cohesion checks for cavalry, which is good, but all our medium troops will. It's a hard fight, this is. I'll be tempted to try and flank them massively. But remember, we've got the numbers, we've got the lights, the cavalry. We've got to use that to our advantage here. So remember when you play, and unfortunately here we're going to have to start choosing some of the lesser troops, I'd like to say. But like I said, we can really knock out these lights and start to wear him down. So we're going to have to wear him down. We're going to have to push forward. God, yeah, this is not great. But I'm a great believer. If you can have trash, have lots of trash. Of course, the Spanish or the Italian foot will be the backup dancers, and they will be just filling in spots that happen. We could go heavy left to push forward, but I think what we'd need is little holes. Remember the units that are going to push through, like the warband, if they get lucky. So we're going to have to just push, keep our units behind, make sure sometimes it is not good to push units right behind, because if we're pushed back, we can't be pushed back, and pushbacks are good on both sides. If he pushes you back, you have a chance to flank him, but if you push him back, he has a chance to flank you. So that's the list so far. It's quite an interesting list, I've got to say. I think we'll probably have some Spanish and the Italian foot on the rear in their own little battle group, so they get their own bonuses there. I've got to say, Carthaginian's going to struggle this second army. But I'm particularly interested in how it comes out. Remember, cavalry and lights, avoid the pikes. I'm going to use that forevermore. But still a solid list with the combination of mediums things, but we're going to have to hold the line. We outnumber him and we can flank. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That has been a short comparison of the Ferric and also the new Carthaginian list. Please put your votes below. We'll be coming with round 3 tomorrow at 6 British Standard Time, but also you might be seeing this on the Sliverin social. So yeah, a couple of interesting lists. Remember to outnumber, dominate cavalry, dominate the lights, and of course we'll see you on the next battlefield, folks, and bye bye.